What is up, guys? Sophie here, back with another topic. If you are new, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell and check the description box because I always put a lot of stuff in there. So what we're going to be talking about today is, are you on your grown woman stuff or are you still behaving like a child? So the other day I posted on Instagram and also my community tab on YouTube. If you're not following me, then I'm going to put the links down below, that this particular Bible verse from 1 Corinthians 13:11. And it says, when I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, and I reasoned like a child. And when I became a man, or in this case, a woman or an adult or whoever the case, I did away with childish things. So I think that is very important for us to know this, because a lot of the times we might think that just because we are an adult that we are automatically on our grown woman status, but we're not. There's a whole bunch of adults out there well into their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, I don't care, 100, who are still not on their grown woman status, who are still out there being childish. And I could definitely relate that, especially when I was in my 20s, I was still up on some childish things. So what is it that we're talking about when we put away childish things? Because if you notice in the Bible verse, it's not like they mention, oh, when I was 5 or 6 years old, I was a child. No, this is a cognitive effort that you have to do to behave in a way that is grown. You have to put away childish things. You have to determine that I am no longer a child and I'm going to be on my grown woman status. You have to determine the people, the men, the relationships, the friendships that I'm going to be in are also going to be, not like a child. I know that I rid myself with a lot of friends in the past because they were still up on childish things, asking me for money. It's like, okay, but I'm not your mom. This is what I mean by surrounding yourself with adults and putting away childish things, right? Because not only do you need to be on your grown woman status, but you also need to be around other people who are on their grown people status. Most successful people that you see, right? Like birds of a feather flock together. Everybody in the group is successful. Everybody in the group is doing the same thing. Everybody in the group is getting married. Everybody in the group has focus. Everybody has purpose. You don't see, like, you can't be around somebody or a group of people and you're the best one in the group and everybody else is aimless. Because ultimately they're going to make you think that what they're doing or this situation is normal, and you're going to stay in a childlike mentality because that's what you're surrounded by. You don't have nobody to stimulate your mind. So I want to go through each part of the Bible verse so that we can reflect, or so that we all can reflect on if you are on your grown people stuff, right? So first, Bible verse says, when I was a child, I talked like a child. This is something that I definitely had to train myself to do, and that was to talk, more articulately. And this is not to say that we fake the funk, but I remember when I was specifically working in a job, and it was a nice job, and it was a more like political type environment or whatever. And I noticed that everybody spoke very eloquently. For me, because of the people that I was surrounded by, I would actively choose to dumb myself down or speak in a way that was not fully articulate because I wanted to fit in with the crowd. And see, if you have to dumb yourself down in any way, shape, or form, especially when it comes to your intellect, then guess what? You are running with the wrong crowd. So that's when I decided, and this was plenty of years ago, that I wasn't going to continue to just talk like I didn't have no sense or speak like I was ignorant, because the fact of the matter is that I wasn't ignorant. I was just doing that so that the people that I was around didn't feel inadequate around me. Like, people used to make fun of me like, oh, you're using too many big words or this or that or the third. But see, if that's the case, then the surroundings that I'm in is that you're a child, and therefore I don't need to, be around you if you feel like you can't understand the words that are coming out of my mouth and I'm sounding too smart for you, and now you want me to dumb myself down. And another thing, when we talk about talking like a child, what do children do? Children will often lie. And children will often throw temper tantrums, and children will often be argumentative. If y'all watch my channel, then you should already know I'm a big advocate of not lying, training yourself not to lie. It gets under my skin when I see adult people who just lie. It's like, if you are an adult, you should not be lying. And how that transforms in your regular behavior is that you learn to do things when you are an adult that you don't have to lie about. If you are doing something that you feel like you have to lie about later on, then don't do it, because that's not an adult. Children lie, right? Children want to cover up their tracks. When children do something bad or they break something or they don't have enough confidence to tell the truth because they feel like they're going to get in trouble, then they lie. As an adult, there's no reason why you should be lying. And the caveat to that is that you curb your behavior so that you don't have anything to lie about in the future. Another thing is being argumentative. I was like this earlier, especially in my early relationships, is that I always wanted to have it my way, and therefore I was very argumentative with the partners that I was with for no apparent reason whatsoever. And quiet as it's kept, I think a lot of women are just kind of raised this way, especially assertive women, where we become very argumentative when we don't get our way. But that's kind of like a temper tantrum. And even if we're not argumentative when we don't get our way, I feel like sometimes women can be very aggressive in their communications or when they're dealing with other people. I have dealt with women like that up in the workplace. I think some people confuse assertiveness with aggressiveness, and they are very argumentative. But as an adult, you need to know how to articulate yourself. And this goes back into, I learned to not talk like a child, what I was talking about earlier, when I had to learn how to articulate myself in a way to communicate with other people around me so that they understood my point and it didn't come across as argumentative, or it didn't come across like I was trying to speak like a 16-year-old teenager and I'm like 25 or 28 years old, right? You need to learn how to communicate appropriately, not be argumentative, whether it is in your everyday life or whether it is in your relationships. And you need to learn how to communicate in a way that presents you to be a grown behind woman. You can imagine somebody like Michelle Obama. I can say that she probably somebody that we all admire, right? Can you imagine her walking around cussing, lying, carrying on, arguing, and acting all ratchet? That would kind of diminish who she was, because she got degrees from Princeton and Harvard and Ivy League schools. And we would say, okay, but the way that you're acting or the way that you're speaking is not really, adding up to the caliber of person that we thought you were. So therefore it will diminish her overall, self-worth in our eyes, because we would feel like she's capable of more. And so, Michelle Obama isn't special. You should be the same way. Like, you shouldn't be talking and behaving and lying and screaming and arguing and calling people's names and all this other type of stuff simply because you can. You should still have some type of respect for yourself in which you can articulate yourself appropriately, because that is what grown people do. Now let's get into thinking like a child, right? So thinking like a child is, once again, what do we do when we are thinking like a child? We have an entitlement mentality, because children always want something. They always want somebody to buy something for them. So thinking like a child could be, oh, I feel like it is other people's responsibility to take care of me. Oh, I feel like, and even in relationships, and don't get it twisted, I am all about the man being a provider and all this, that, and the third. But what I am against is women who just intentionally don't want to be about anything so that they can find a man and have the man just pay for everything, and they just about nothing is going on between their brain, and they're just that's all they want to do is just spend a man's money. They don't want to add on to the relationship, whether it be emotionally, because it doesn't always have to be financially, right? And they don't add on to a relationship as far as bringing value to the relationship. They feel like, oh, me being cute and me staring at him is enough, and therefore I want all of his money. That's not being on your grown woman status. That's just being like a child, in the sense that you feel like, oh, you're my mom or you're my dad, and now you just need to go ahead and give me money because that's just what it is. You haven't done anything to earn it. You're not bringing any value to the relationship. You think that everything is about you, because in a relationship, everything is not about you. It's about two people. So if you're just a leech, like, how children are when they go into the store and they, oh, I want. If you're just a leech and you just want and suck and suck and suck, and you don't want to give back, then guess what? You are thinking like a child. If you feel like, and I have been with some friends like this, and I'm sorry, I cut this off. Some people feel like, when I had friends that, oh, you're my friend and it's your responsibility to give me money when I need it. No, it is not. Oh, but you're Christian. I don't care. I am a single mother. I have a child to take care of. What do I look like giving you my rent money? And friends used to really get mad at me about this, but that is a very childlike mentality. You are a grown behind person and nobody is responsible for your life or your upkeep in regards to this life but you. This is not to say that friends or family don't help you out, because they can. And in those instances, you be thankful for it, not entitled to it. Like, oh, they should help me out because they are my family and I am entitled to what they have. No, you're not. If they help you out, it is in the kindness of their heart, not because you deserve anything. So when you talk about thinking like a child, you have to put yourself in a child's mindset. How do children act? They feel like the world revolves around them. The world don't revolve around you. They feel like people owe them stuff. People don't owe you stuff. Oftentimes, they are also very aimless in terms of feeling like, children don't know what they want to do when they grow up. You should not be aimless. You should have some direction in life. You should know where you are going. You should know what you are doing. You should know what your purpose is. And even if you don't know what your purpose is, you can at least try to find out. Never should you be an adult woman and you still feel like it's okay to just be a child, because time passes by all the time, and every moment that you waste in life, then you're closer to death. I know that sounds kind of morbid, but you have to think, I could die at 100 years old, right? And I'm 36 right now, but tomorrow I am one step closer to that 100 years old. And the more that I stay putting myself in that childlike mentality, thinking that somebody owes me something, or thinking that I need to find somebody to take care of me and I don't have to contribute anything to society, then I'm wasting more time of wasting my life away, when grown people have a direction in life. When you become grown, you know that you have to provide for yourself, provide for your family. You don't just sit around and wait for somebody to come clean your room or come clean your house or come pay your bills or come do this just like a child. And then in the meantime, you're just sitting in your crib doing nothing. That's not how this works. That is a childlike mentality. And as a grown woman, that should not be you. The next part of the verse is, I reason like a child. How many people, or how many of us, reason like a child? And when you reason like a child, you have to think that children don't have any sort of logical way of thinking. And I kind of feel like we are living in a world, especially when it comes to social media, where plenty of people reason like a child. They just make up assumptions, they make up things, and they don't have any logical basis for what in the world they are making up. People like to blame other people for what is going on with their life. If somebody, even on social media, I'm sure y'all seen this, if somebody leaves a comment and they disagree, it automatically turns into like a name calling session. Like, what is that, right? Like a name calling session, like we're on the playground. Like, you said something I didn't like, so now I'm gonna cuss you out and call you names, because that is reasoning like a child. So it's not even in regards to social media, but I feel like these are everyday things. And I promise you, I think I used to be guilty of this as well, or better yet, I know. I was a type of person where I would definitely be reckless with my mouth. I always felt that it was warranted, and maybe it was in some regard, because I never became reckless with my mouth until somebody came for me first, right? And once they did, I would just go off. But at the end of the day, that's the same example that I was just giving you in regards to, oh, I'm a kid on the playground and you said something that I didn't like, and now I'm gonna call you a doo-doo head or a B and all this other type of stuff. And now I feel completely justified because you said something that I didn't like. But see, that's reasoning like a child. Now, when you are on your grown woman status, this is where I'll go back to, I talk like a child, right? Because what I have come to learn is, I'm not going to lay down and just let people talk to me any type of way. Don't get it twisted. However, I have learned to articulate myself in a better way, so that if you come for me, I don't have to cuss you out. I don't have to talk to you any type of way. I don't have to go off. I don't have to sit up there and put my hands on you and try to fight and all this other type of stuff, because these are childlike things. I know how to have self-composure and maintain my voice and not become loud, but you're still going to feel what I'm saying. And I know how to get adult words to articulate myself so that you feel what I'm saying. And to me, that is what makes you more so of an adult. As women, we have to stop this, oh, I think that ratchet behavior is cute. I think that oftentimes, especially when we're looking at reality shows, that this has popularized this ratchet mentality, that we throwing drinks on folks, that we yelling at people, that we're cussing on people, that we're going online talking to people any type of way, cussing and carrying on. We cussing out bosses. We going to work talk. We're not doing that, because this is not how grown women behave, right? This is a childlike behavior. That is a behavior of a child who has impulse control problems and they cannot control their mouth. And this is not about being passive, but this is about presenting yourself in a way that is an adult. I could say the same thing, how I feel to somebody without using a cuss word and without disrespecting them, than I did when I did use cuss words and I did disrespect them. And one thing that you have to know is that your reputation precedes you. You don't ever know who is watching you. Like, what if you were sitting up in the grocery store, somebody made you mad and you start cussing them out, and a man was going to come over and holler at you, but now you sit up there acting crazy, and now he's like, dang, homegirl got a temper, so now I'm not. You don't know who's looking at you. You don't know who's observing you. You don't know if you go off on a stranger in the gas station, if that person later on, if you go to a job interview, can be the person that you interview, right? A child never thinks beyond today. They don't ever think about the future. But as a grown behind woman, you do need to think about the future. I have known several people that kind of want help from me now, or they want advice from me now, but because of the way they treated me in the past, they burnt so many bridges. You're not getting nothing from me. That's not me being mean. That's just cutting off, that's just me having boundaries, right? But a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people blow up, act crazy, talk to you any type of way. A few months down the line, they're like, oh, wait, I really need this person. But now to me, you can't come back, because children don't think about the future consequences of their action. Children can burn bridges and they feel like, oh, because I said sorry, you should come back and be my friend. But grown people know that you have to think about every reaction and what you're doing, and know that you just can't recklessly go out and behave and do certain things, for the simple fact that you don't know who you may encounter in the future, if you may encounter that person in the future, if that person can help you in the future, or if they were helping you and the one time they said they wasn't going to help you, you go off on them and now you can't call on them anymore. That's the type of mentality that you need to have as a grown person. Okay, so now I want to sum a lot of this up, because I know that there was a lot covered. So when we talk about being on our grown woman status, what are we talking about? We're talking about getting into better relationships. We're talking about not being in dramaful relationships. We're talking about not getting in relationships where he wants to be a polygamist and have you competing with other women and you sit up there fighting with other women in order to prove yourself to a man. We're not doing that, because guess what? That's putting away childish things. We're talking about not being a drama queen. We're talking about not being the loud one, the ratchet one, the cussing people out one, if I see you in the store yelling at the cashier because you mad and you don't know how to control yourself. We're not doing that, because guess what? Temper tantrums and all that is a child, and we're putting away childish things. We are talking about having a direction and a purpose for our life. I know a lot of women get confused and they feel like, oh, well, my purpose is to get married and then I'll have a man provide for me and then it's not going to matter. Okay, but you're not married yet, right? So you cannot be aimless. You cannot be not doing anything in your life. You can, like a child, oh, I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a police officer. You just can't be jumping all over the place and you just confused on what you're supposed to be doing with yourself. That is putting away childish things. Feeling like somebody needs to take care of you, and it is other people's responsibility to live your life and to provide for you. We're not doing that. We are putting away childish things, temper tantrums, and blaming others as for the reason why you can't, or you're not, or why you don't have. That is a childlike mentality, and we are putting away childish things. Okay, so no matter what age you are, just because you might not chronologically be a child, everybody needs to reflect on if you putting away childish things. And more importantly, I feel like finally getting on your grown people status will help your relationships. I've definitely experienced that personally. I feel like it will help the type of jobs that you can get, your career, your purpose, everything. When you really put yourself in an adult mindset and you say, I'm going to go after my life in a grown behind different way, you will notice things in your life start to get better because you're not just all willy-nilly and confused, just like, a 5-year-old would be. A 5-year-old can't go live by themselves and take care of themselves and have a job because they have a childlike mentality. So if you operate on that, then that's the same type of thing that you're going to get, right? But when you operate on a grown woman status, then you'll notice, hey, I can get a better house. I can get a better job. I can have better money because you are reasoning in a different way. Your mindset is different and the way that you go about things are different. All right, guys. All right. Thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys another day, another time. Bye-bye, y'all. Not ready for the show to end? It doesn't have to. You can head over to my site where you can read hundreds of articles. And also you can feel free to shop my store where I have all of my products for sale. And last but not least, for even more video content, feel free to visit my YouTube channel where I talk about a wide array of content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And until next time, stay blessed.